All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding a hidden problem that honestly affects pretty much everyone, whether you're managing a massive commercial facility or just trying to keep your own household budget in check. We are talking about why your utility costs seem to just endlessly climb, and how making a slight shift in your perspective can reveal an incredible amount of hidden waste. For the longest time, utilities were just something we barely even thought about. You flip a switch, you turn on a tap, you pay the bill, and you repeat the whole shebang next month. But as we're going to see today, that default autopilot approach, it's literally costing us a fortune. So let me ask you this. What if you're passively paying for, well, air or bad power every single month? Most of us just look at that final dollar amount on the bill, groan a little bit, and assume we just used too much water or left the lights on too long. But what if the infrastructure itself is actually tricking your meters? Imagine being financially penalized for inefficiencies in the municipal grid right before the utility even reaches your equipment. It sounds crazy, but it's happening. Independent energy advisor Dave Brown hits the nail on the head here. His quote, "Your paycheck isn't keeping up, neither are your utility bills," really hits close to home, doesn't it? As Dave points out in his research, the old default of just accepting these rising costs just isn't sustainable anymore. We are in an era where power quality, grid complexity, and aging infrastructure practically demand that we take informed action. Honestly, it's time to wake up to the fact that we can actually take control of this invisible waste. And who exactly is feeling the pinch? Well, basically everyone. These energy and utility challenges impact all sorts of vertical markets. We're talking about homeowners looking for efficiency, renters discovering accessible programs, businesses trying desperately to reduce operating costs, right down to contractors and organizations building value and accessing trusted resources. Because the pain of utility waste is so universal, it is absolutely crucial to look at the big picture here, rather than just buying isolated Band-Aid products. And that brings us to a really crucial point. A true advisor evaluates your specific location and your actual eligibility first. This is a massive contrast to companies that just push a one-size-fits-all product. As Dave Brown's methodology shows, the right answer isn't always the most obvious one. I mean, some folks think they immediately need rooftop solar, but maybe community solar is actually a better fit. Or maybe the real opportunity is in water efficiency. A connector or advisor approach means actually starting with a conversation about your property type, local rules, and your goals, so you aren't just sold a generic fix. Okay, let's pivot to the first major source of hidden leakage, water. And the urgency here is honestly incredible. When you look at Earth's water makeup, the reality is kind of stark. 97% is undrinkable saltwater and 2% is trapped in glacier ice. That leaves a mere 1% of the Earth's surface water as suitable for drinking. With over 2.7 billion people expected to lack access to safe drinking water by 2029, scarcity is a massive pressing issue. Every single drop genuinely counts, which makes water efficiency not just a nice financial goal, but a global necessity. Which brings us to a really fascinating technological solution. Because of our aging municipal infrastructure, air is literally getting into the water lines. And here is the kicker. Standard utility meters cannot tell the difference between water and air. So you are literally being charged for air passing through your water meter. Crazy, right? Well, the AquaFlow Valve solves this using a patented 3-in-1 technology. First, it compresses the air in the pipes before it hits the meter, so you only pay for actual water. Second, it regulates flow and pressure to cut unnecessary usage. And third, it acts as a check valve to stop water hammering, which protects your whole plumbing system. And the results of implementing this? They are staggering. By dynamically regulating the pressure to match a property's specific environment, the AquaFlow system yields an impressive 15 to 30% average global savings. Whether it's a hotel, an apartment complex, a grocery store, or a factory, this technology completely stops the invisible financial leak of paying for air. Plus, for businesses prioritizing sustainability, this massive reduction directly helps them meet their ESG, or environmental, social, and governance goals. It's a total win-win for the bottom line and the planet. All right, let's shift gears from literal water leaks to electrical ones. Because just like air gets into those water pipes, you've got complex grid issues and equipment stress creating invisible financial drains on your business or home through electrical inefficiency. Most people don't realize they aren't just paying for the electricity they actively use. They're often paying for incredibly poor power quality being delivered right to their meters, which then forces their equipment to work harder, run hotter, and pull way more current than it actually needs. To actually combat this, experts use what's called an optimizer analysis. Think of total harmonic distortion, or THD, and inductive loads, sort of like turbulence in a water pipe.
When power is dirty or turbulent, your motors and compressors really struggle. This optimizer analysis is a data-driven process designed to smooth out that power flow. By reducing that THD and lowering the total amperage drawn by your equipment, you dramatically reduce the strain on your systems, you prolong the life of your motors, and you completely eliminate that wasted, turbulent energy from your bill. But how do we actually start this optimizer analysis? Well, you can't fix what you don't measure, right? So step one is establishing a rock-solid baseline using detailed utility bills, and I mean all the pages, not just the summary page. They look at total power consumption, demand charge fees, distribution fees, and they even overlay weather data and hourly current draws. This creates an exact financial and technical baseline, meaning any improvements made later on can be absolutely accurately measured and verified. Once that baseline is locked in, engineers do a site survey using a process they affectionately call following the yellow brick road. I love that name. They literally trace the path of electricity through a facility. Starting right at the power meter, they photograph it, then move to the main control panel to document the breakers. From there, they follow the wires to any sub-panels and trace it all the way down to the individual motors running the heavy equipment, like your AC units and walk-in freezers. It gives them a complete map of the building's electrical pulse. Now, they don't just start optimizing things at random. The secret sauce is targeting the highest inductive load first, for the biggest, fastest impact. Imagine a restaurant with multiple rooftop AC units. You've got one unit cooling the kitchen prep area, but two other units cooling the main seating and lobby areas. Because those lobby units are probably running constantly to keep guests comfortable, they have a way higher runtime than the kitchen unit. So, by prioritizing the optimization of those lobby units first, the team ensures the largest immediate reduction on the utility bill. So, how do they know the exact right amount of optimization to apply? That is where precision comes in. Technicians use an amp clamp to measure the specific power factor of those heavily used motors. Then, they use a highly specialized diagnostic tool called the answer box. They plug different optimizer models into the answer box one by one, testing the exact mitigation levels in real time. This is absolutely critical because it prevents overcorrection. Actually, if you apply the wrong size optimizer, you can accidentally cause a load increase and make the problem worse. The answer box ensures this science perfectly matches the hardware. Zooming out, this whole journey follows a very structured 4-phase methodology for technical and financial integration, completely removing the guesswork. Once that baseline is established, they move into that precise configuration using the answer box we just talked about. From there, the system is continuously monitored against your utility rates, leading right into the final step, financial validation. They use the newly optimized data to prove your exact return on investment, even factoring in real-world variables like local tax rates and depreciation. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take a hard look at your own infrastructure. How much air is spinning your water meter right now? How much electrical distortion is driving up your demand charges? The waste might be invisible, but the theft from your bottom line is entirely real. The big question is, now that you know this invisible waste is literally sitting right there in your pipes and wires, how much longer are you willing to pay for it?